infinite mirror. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Now we're on the demo. So the internet is broadcasting. So yes, this. You know what's going to be really exciting is that this is the first time that we've ever shown this button to anybody. It literally. Oh yeah. You want to go ahead and push that button? Sure. Okay. So this is the first time we've ever used the demo button on the home page of Backdrop CMS. So we're going to cross our fingers and hope that this actually works. We switched around these buttons so that the download backdrop is now second, because the very first thing people usually want to do when they evaluate a new content management system is they want to try it out, right? And so the demo button here that spins up a fancy Docker version of your demo of a sandbox site that is for you and you alone. And so clicking the button, there's currently no confirmation or questions or anything. It's just like click the button and then you get a website. So I hope this works.
At what point along the process are we warning people that this is just temporary?
The next page.
Okay.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
So this page is like, hey, here's a button to click. And then after you click this button, it's currently doing the firing up, the creating a new environment. It's about to present you with a URL. And then when we go to the next page, it's like, here's the URL to your site. By the way, here's everything you need to know about it.
I have to admit, I'm getting impatient.
Yes. There it goes. Hey.
Woo! All right, that took a little longer than I would have expected. Okay, so now we have a new site.
It did say under the button, this will take a moment.
A moment. That was a little bit more than a moment. Yeah, so these...
This is a service provided by Tugboat.
Yeah, Tugboat is the name of the service. And when we actually visit the site, I could have clicked the button. The URL up here at the top is tugboat.qa, which is the service name. So when we do the demo button, it would be nice if the installer had already been run, but for first iteration, like it's literally a fresh installed backdrop, which the reason why we need this for the time being is that it lets you set your username and password during the installation process. So yeah, isn't that amazing?
So somebody just said, wow, that's fast.
Yeah.
Just for the internet.
Our benchmarking last time we checked is that Backdrop is slightly faster than Drupal 7. And that includes 86 contrib modules or equivalents now?
62.
Sorry, 62?
Yeah.
So, like, and we're talking like apples to apples, like out of the box to out of the box, like Backdrop is faster than Drupal 7 and has a lot more functionality in it.
And we do have a bunch of outstanding performance issues too that are specifically marked as performance improvements, because this is one of our principles as well, is making sure that Backdrop is performant and can run on shared hosting. So trying to beat Drupal 7 in that area is one of our priority items.
Yeah, so some things, like we say that like this is highly compatible with Drupal 7, and it definitely is, but you may have already noticed that this looks different, already than Drupal 7 going through the installation. Also, some things like, show hide password links, like we've gotten rid of the concept of this, enter twice password, because that convention is, it's totally dead.
Especially on a phone, that's really hard because you can't see it the first time, you can't see it the second time, so we decided to let people see it instead.
Also, current password recommendations are now nothing matters except for length. That's the only thing that matters. And so like our password strength indicator now reflects that. There's no like, make sure you add some symbols or letters or numbers, because that just doesn't matter. Yep. We do penalize you if you use the same username for your username and password, though. That's bad. It should be like catastrophic is the strength. Lots of things. So you also use JavaScript now to identify your time zone location, because you can figure that out now. Lots of little improvements. All right, and so this is Backdrop out of the box. Our default theme is called Basis. There's actually a contrib version of this theme for Drupal. Westerov, who's doing a theming workshop today, actually will also be coming over later today to talk about theming, and Backdrop was the originator of the new Backdrop theme. You want to talk about something?
Sure.
Just
What's my favorite thing? Go to the dashboard.
Oh, okay. Well, okay. I wasn't done
Oh,
talking about the homepage yet, but
Well, you asked me if I wanted
Sorry.
to do anything.
sorry. So lots of things that you don't get with
Drupal 7.
Drupal 7 world. Just out of the box, things are responsive. They're touch friendly. Also, like the administration bar. The administration bar is a port of admin menu. It's not a reworking like the toolbar module is in Drupal 8, but as you can see, it's responsive, and we also have the searching capability, so you can find like all of the views, or if you want to say, modules.
Where did they put the module page?
Well, it's, all under functionality. Also, things like on a smaller screen. I can't reach the edges of my mobile view. There we go. Smaller screen hamburger menu. This is not. There is some styling that the theme is doing to make this look a little nicer, but the hamburger menu functionality is in core. Like as is hierarchical drop-down menus are also in core, and
Content.
and sample content.
We have sample content. We stole that from WordPress. We find people really prefer to edit something and create something new for the first time. So we added a basic post and a basic page just to give people a chance to poke around without having to do a create action. We have done a slight update on the administration theme. So we're hoping it's a little bit more usable. All of the buttons have primary and secondary color. So when you get to the bottom of a form, you should know which one to click. All of the tabs and vertical tabs are responsive and touch-friendly, so they turn into accordions on mobile devices. We're hoping you're not creating content on your phone, but in a pinch you can, and it'll be a better experience than trying to work with Drupal 7. You can see on this page some examples of some of the things we've included in core, including scheduler module, which lets you schedule a post for the future, something WordPress had in core. It seemed like a no-brainer to include that as well. Under URL settings, we've got token and path auto in core. These are top contrib modules for Drupal 7. We've got those. We also have redirect module, because once you have automatic aliasing, it's good to redirect from one page to the other when that URL changes. Under comments, we have comment closer module.
Oh, I forgot about that.
But they need to be open first in order to see it. But that's so if you create a blog post and you want to shut down comments after a period of time, which will help prevent against spam, that's built in. That's also something that WordPress provides. So even though we're looking at top contributed modules for Drupal 7 in terms of inspiration for what to put in core, we're also including baseline functionality from WordPress, because that is the market we're going to be targeting, is the overlap of those two platforms.
Oh, I know what I was looking for, because I was looking for where comment closer actually is.
On the content type settings?
Yeah, it's on the content type setting. Yeah.
So we can check out the content type configuration too. We made some significant changes to this. You can see the tabs at the top are responsive. They've got the little ... option, which is pretty cool. We've also added in the configuration of this.
This gets even crazier when it goes down to this size.
Yeah, Wes did that too. Thanks, Wes. And I think he wrote a patch to put it in Drupal as well. We have under permissions, we've copied the sections of the permissions matrix that you care about from the permissions page into all of the other places where you're setting things up, so that you don't forget to set permissions on things as you set them up. So this is true for content types, but it's also true for other various parts of the configuration system. If it comes with permissions, there's probably permissions on the settings form as well as in the permissions matrix page.
Yeah, it's nice that we can just pull out this permissions form anywhere we want. It's just say, give me permissions for these things, and then we can replicate the permissions throughout the system, so that I always like to use the term Drupal pogo sticking is the way that you normally use a Drupal website, where you set up a content type. You drill all the way down through these things. You set up a content type. Okay, now let's go set up path auto. You go all the way back up to the top, then you go all the way back down to path auto. And it's like, oh, now what about permissions? All the way back up to the administrative section, then all the way back down to where you find the permissions. Like,
So scroll down and we can see the path auto settings are in here too.
oh yes, this is great lead in.
Yeah. So it's just the kind of thing where we're trying to make your job as a site architect more efficient. We're trying to make your job as a developer more efficient too. We just want this entire tool to be something that people don't have to code to be able to use, and they'll be able to, they're not going to get caught forgetting to do something in one place but doing another. So just kind of a whole new perspective of like, okay, what's really frustrating about using Drupal 7? We'll just fix it. And then ta-da, we don't have to worry about it anymore. So can you go to the dashboard, since we just came out with a new release, May 15th, we released Backdrop 113.
I'm sorry, yeah, just one of these like weird minor things, like automatically close comments on alt content. Just another contrib module, check. Okay, so.
Dashboard, please.
Dashboard.
So the latest version of Backdrop Core includes a dashboard. This is a port of the total control module from Drupal, which is something that I wrote for Drupal 6. Haven't really been maintaining it for Drupal 7, but it exists if you need it. People are using it, which is great. It just essentially creates a panel and puts a bunch of default admin blocks in the system.
And it takes you there when you log into your website. So rather than taking you to a profile page that tells you absolutely nothing useful.
You have been a member for 1 minute. Yeah, so this is also something that we learned from WordPress. When you log into a WordPress site, it takes you to a dashboard. That people found that really anchoring when they got to a new system. So it does the same thing here. And because this page is built with layouts, you can put whatever you want on it. You want to build your own views for unpublished content or anything that matches your workflow. You can do that, and you can add it here to make this whatever any individual site needs. Layouts are also something I love about Backdrop. You just go to the overview page. Maybe you can see the ones that come in core. You have a dashboard, homepage, and default. Also the default admin, because admin's only one column. All of these layouts use templates that are based on the Bootstrap 4 grid system. So it's really easy as a front-end developer. If you need a different layout with different numbers of themes, you can just go in there and change the classes. You don't necessarily need to understand how to do more than that, which is really nice. You can drag and drop stuff around. You can add new stuff, whatever you want. It's just normal layout system.
Just normal layout system.
It's just like panels. If you use panels in Drupal 7, this is a port of the panels module. It works a little bit more like panels everywhere than panels, because things like your site header and footer are blocks. That does make it so that you can do crazy things like delete your header, your breadcrumb, and your footer, and you get a completely unbranded page. So now there's a page in your site you can manage in your CMS that doesn't have to be branded with the rest of your branding from your CMS. So that's kind of nice. I really like configuration management. We're sort of going through like what are the biggest differences between Drupal and Backdrop. Layouts and configuration management are the two big killers. Everything else is like we just put stuff that was in Contrib and Core. Configuration management is the separation of your content, which goes in your database, from your configuration, which is now stored in JSON files. So Nate's going to show you an example of what the JSON file looks like for the dashboard. And this is the kind of thing where every time you hit save on a configuration form, it's going to be writing this stuff directly to the JSON file. There isn't usually any kind of cache layer in between there. And so it makes it really easy for developers to understand where's my configuration. It's in these files. It makes it really easy for developers to even open and read if they get in trouble and they're like, oh no, something's wrong. I need to look in this config file and figure out what to change. Most developers understand JSON. YAML is a little newer to them. We also chose JSON over YAML because JSON is about 75 times faster because there's native PHP parsing. So because performance is one of our principles, having JSON for us was sort of a no-brainer. But yeah, this is also, because they're managed in configuration files, you can come to your user interface in Backdrop, hit the export button, copy a file, something like a view from one website, go to another website, import it. As long as you still have the same content types and fields, it'll just snap into place, which is really convenient in terms of not needing to reconfigure things all over again.
Yeah, so I'm going to do a single import here just to demonstrate. Like this is the core file. Backdrop demo is the name of the site right now. I've just copied the config and I'm going to paste it, and then the site name is in here. Here we go. So backdrop demo, and I might say my TCDC backdrop site. And imagine that this is between environments or what have you. That you're moving configuration from one place to another.
We don't recommend, if you just need to change the name of your website, there is a button for that.
Yeah.
But we'll pretend. You need to push.
Yeah, and so also just in the category of like super minor little things that we try to do in places is that we still use the database a lot, but Backdrop is writing to JSON files all the time for its config. And unlike the Drupal equivalent of config management, the JSON files are canonical. There's not another copy of your config somewhere. The JSON files are it. And so as the JSON files are being modified, your site will update to reflect that almost immediately. There's still caching layers in a lot of places. So
for the more complex things like views and
layouts. Yeah, so running an import is necessary in a lot of cases, like clicking that button to actually make sure that things get synced up. But those JSON files are really being written in red all the time. And we try to make it so that anywhere in the user interface, I tried to have an example in here, but this isn't going to work.
Go to
menus.
Or menus are all going to be edit. Go to image styles.
Okay. Oh yeah, that's a good one.
Configuration media. Oh yeah, you need the search box.
Okay. So whenever you're saving into a JSON file, it always says configure
on the button you click.
On the button, and whenever you're working with content, it always says edit.
And that means it goes in the database.
And so it's a very clear, like, edit means database, configure means configuration. And so it's like that everywhere. So it gives you a visual indication, like right away, like when you're using something, where is this saving into? You can tell by the label of the button.
We noticed that in the very beginning, when we first put in configuration management, I noticed all over the interface it said edit in weird places. And I'm like, wait, we use these words interchangeably in Drupal as though they were the same thing. But when you actually are saving into different places, it would be really useful to make that separation mean something so that as an administrator, if I click this button, I'm going to be changing a config file. If I click this button, I'm changing something in the database. And so we're doing a pretty good job of, we've replaced, we think, almost everything in core. I found one page in the menu translation interface just this week that still said edit, but we fixed it. I filed a pull request and Clonos RTB received it like the same day. So yeah, but in general, we're trying to make that really straightforward for people.
Yeah. A couple of things on the things I've got pulled up here. Views is in core, should be expected. And not all, but most of the administrative listings are converted over to use views, as well as like views bulk operations is also in core as a requirement of doing something like that. And just one more thing, that's like configure view, because views are in configuration. So that's why I wanted to pull that up. Instead of 777, this would have been edit view. Yeah.
Yeah.
How complete is views and importing and exporting CSV file?
Kevin's done a little bit of that.
Yeah.
Sorry, question?
The question was how complete is feeds, especially in terms of importing and exporting CSV files? So Kevin said, it's fine. Yeah. I find that with most Drupal 7 modules.
I was going to pull up Backdrop's website to examine feeds, but you know what I could do? Is not go to the Backdrop website and examine feeds, because I can find and install modules without leaving my website in Backdrop. So I can go to the modules page or the functionality page and then go to install new modules. If I were under list, and there's like a quick filter on here, there's no feeds. It'd be nice maybe if we said, but maybe you could install these things. You can find and get modules or information about modules from within your website and then say, I want to add that module to my website. Unfortunately, at this point, this isn't going to work because we haven't configured the sandbox sites to allow writing to the file system to actually make this work.
Generally, the feature setting is supposed to be parity.
Yeah, most contrib modules, as they're ported over, maintain almost exactly the same set of functionality because that's the easiest thing to do. And so in general, what happens is someone who will work on a port of feeds will take feeds and then they'll put it on their backup site and they'll get it working. And then they push that up to contrib. And then you as the next user will go and try and use it. You might use it in a different way that they've used it or try a different extension, and you might find something that doesn't work. But I found that most of the time, because there's not that much that needs to change between 7, it usually all still works. I've used feeds for XML imports, and it's worked really well. Kevin's done some CSV imports, and it's working pretty well. So I haven't found any issues with it yet, but maybe your use case is slightly different. But I would say in general, most of the contrib is pretty good just because it was good in 7.
Cool. Well, that's almost half an hour demo, so maybe we should just like pop it off right there. Yeah.
Sure. We had on our schedule 10:30 was break.
Okay.
So why don't we take a break? Let's do we go ahead and pause the video. And then
Bye, everyone.